I'm so excited for today's video because it is one of my favorite days here at Whiskey and Wit. It is dupe day for Christmas. If you love the high-end looks of stores like Pottery Barn and West Elm, Anthropologie, but you can't justify the prices on some of those items, I've got your back. Today we are going to DIY instead of buy. I'm going to help you save hundreds by making your own look for less versions and help you do Christmas decor on a budget. You're watching Whiskey and Wit. My name is Whitney, and hello and welcome to all of our new friends. If you're a whiskey craft buddy and you're coming back, I am so thankful for you. Thanks for being here. But if you're new and you just stumbled across my corner of YouTube, I am so glad to have you here. If you want to join us, if you love all things DIY and budget home decor, just hit subscribe down below. Make sure the bell notifications turned on, and that way YouTube will let you know when I post a new video, and you can craft along with us each and every week.
Just about every high-end site, there are these glass ball, textured, metallic, mercury glass ornaments. And I wanted ones that A, wouldn't break and that were a lot cheaper. So you're going to get yourself some shatterproof plastic clear ornaments. You can get them from literally anywhere, Dollar Tree, any craft store. And then we're going to make a fun little contraption to spray paint them. I used some Dollar Tree bamboo skewers and I popped them into a box that I just had in our recycling to act as a makeshift holder so these wouldn't roll away on me because they're round. I realized that I put too many skewers out, so I didn't put them on all the skewers, but once I laid everything out, this was the perfect way to spray paint these. I used some flat black spray paint, the Rust-Oleum brand that I love, which I will link down below, along with all the other supplies I'm using today, and I gave them all a full coat of the spray paint. You may have to jiggle the box or styrofoam, whatever you're using underneath to hold them just to get them to spin so you can get all the edges, and it took me 2 times because I ended up spinning them once they were dry with my hand. Then once they're completely dry, I used some antique gold rub and buff, which usually I use the gold leaf, but I thought this coppery color in the gold would be awesome. I put on some gloves. I put a little dab, like a toothpaste size, pea size, in my hand. And then I rubbed my hands together and started rubbing them on the ornament. I found that if I was trying to brush it on the ornament or even just rubbing a huge amount from one hand, it didn't get the same effect. And so with the 2 hands, you were able to get uneven but really pretty texture. And then you could use those stands again to get everything to dry. My last step was to take my caps and my little hanging hardware and do the same thing, cover those with a little bit of that same color rub and buff, so then that way they wouldn't stick out coppery gold to silver. Once I popped them back in, I was like, ooh, we are cooking here. Then I cut some black velvet ribbon, which you could use any kind of ribbon that you want. You don't have to go black velvet, but I think this really adds to the modern feel. And then I went ahead and just did these little toppers because I'm going to use them either in a garland or in a bowl just to display them. But if you're going to hang them on your tree, you could easily get some thinner black velvet ribbon and hang them that way. I love that they are lightweight. If Finn decides to pick them up, they're not going to shatter. They're not going to transfer on your hands because the rub and buff dries completely dry, so it's not going to transfer. And I love how these turned out. They look a lot like the ones that I fell in love with, but like I said, they're not going to break on me. And I was able to make them for a fraction of the cost. Back in the fall, we duped some of these large artwork pieces and you guys loved them, so I wanted to come back with a little variation for Christmas. When I did the ones for the fall, I made huge ones that were 20 by 30, which is the full size of a Dollar Tree piece of foam board. Instead, this time I decided to go with a 16 by 20. So what you're going to want to do is set your saw to a 45-degree angle and cut from long point to long point 16 inches. Then I used my piece as a template to then cut a second 16-inch piece. And then you're going to want to measure again and do 2 pieces 20 inches long point to long point because I'm using a 16 by 20 poster. It depends on the size of what you're doing, how much wood you're going to need, but for the 16 by 20, this was a great size. Then all your 45-degree angles will fit together like so. And then as always, I am sanding everything and then I'm going to stain it with Early American Stain just because that matches my house, but you could paint the frame, stain the frame, you could add gold leaf to the frame, so many options. Then for my posters, I ordered these 16 by 20s from Walgreens. They had a sale going on, and I think it goes on until the day after this video goes live that you can get 60% off the posters. So these were like $8. And then you're going to use some matte Mod Podge to really make this sing. I like the matte Mod Podge because A, it takes the sheen off of the photo poster because it's kind of a photo material. And I also love that it's going to give it texture. So the first coat, we're just going to go through and cover the whole thing. We're not going to worry about being too neat. Just use your Mod Podge and cover the whole thing. Then let that dry, and then we're going to go back in with some additional touches to make it look really neat. I did learn after the first one that if you dump a little bit of Mod Podge, it makes it a lot easier than going back into the container with your brush. And I also definitely suggest using a bristled paintbrush instead of a foam brush to get the look that we're trying to get here. Then once that first coat is dry, I'm going to go through with a little bit more Mod Podge and cake it on where it looks like there would be built up paint if somebody painted it. So these eaves here, I did it around the plants, and I also did the greenery around the top. When it dries, you're really going to make it look like it's an oil painting or an actual painting, which is awesome. This is what I did on the tree for the scene from the town, and that really helped as well. Then once everything's dry, your stain and your poster, we're going to assemble. So I'm using double-sided tape to mount it to just some Dollar Tree foam board. And I like to do all of the corners as well as the center and the edges, so then that way it doesn't pop up on me. Once I did that, I used my little slice cutter, which has a ceramic blade, to score the edge and then cut the back. I like the ceramic blade because it's not as sharp as a regular blade and it lasts a lot longer, but if Finn for some reason were to grab that, it's not going to hurt him. It's not going to cut your finger, but it will cut through your tape, your boxes, etc., which is really nice. I will link it down below. Then I'm going to take those frame pieces, line them up, get them where I want, and then so they don't move on me when I'm going to assemble, I'm going to use some painter's tape. I'm just going to put it on the edges so then that way nothing's going to pop off, and then I can easily flip it over and start stapling. I like to do a diagonal staple like this on each corner just so then one side of each of the prongs is in each side of the border. And then I just go around the outside making sure everything is tacked down with the staple gun. I am using 1/2-inch staples here and my DeWalt little hand pump staple gun. Then your last step is to remove your tape if you use that to help hold everything together, and then you are ready to decorate. I love these images. They are from Etsy. When I'm looking at printables and making my own, I do a lot better in the graphics department. And so artwork like this, I definitely defer to either Etsy or another place like Creative Fabrica, just so then that way I can get a real pretty picture like this. So I will link these down below where I got them from Etsy, but the texture on the tree and these snowmen are great, and I'm so excited to leave these guys up all winter long. If you've been watching my dupe videos for a while, you know that I usually like to do a wreath every year, but this year swags are super on trend. So I thought, why not see if we can make this crate and barrel one a little more pizzazzy and for a lot less. So Joann's had one that was actually about 18 bucks because it was 40% off, and then I hit up their pick section because their pick section is amazing for florals. So I ended up fluffing this swag, and I knew I needed to add a little something to it because it doesn't look as full as the inspiration. You can see that kind of like grapevine wreath material in the background. So I started with white and red picks, and I realized I didn't really want the candy cane vibe. I wanted more of a classic vibe, so I just went with the 2 red picks on either side, and I'm just shoving it into that grapevine wreath material. I'm not gluing anything down because I'm going to show you how you can do this 2 ways so you can use it past Christmas. Now these bells came from Hobby Lobby. You can use whatever embellishments you want to put on the swag. I just really like these wood bells. They're a little different than the metallic ones. And I'm tying some jute twine to the hooks to hang them at 2 different heights. Just using that piece at the top of the swag to put the jute twine like over. So then that way it's going to hang for me. And then I'm going to use some of this ribbon that I just got at Costco. They give you so much ribbon. It's really good quality ribbon. And it is like 50 yards, very inexpensive. I'm going to create a quick double bow, and this is one of the first times I did it, so I will link the tutorial that I followed down below because I'm not an expert yet, but I think it turned out pretty good. So I will link that for you if you would like to learn how to make a new bow, and then once I feel confident, I will create a tutorial for you guys. I've got a smaller version of it that I'll share how to do later on in the video. Once I got that on there and dovetailed, I just used a little bit of jute twine, just popped it through the back, and then tied this on the top. Again, we're not gluing anything down. I love the material in the back because it was able to hold those berries while everything was hanging up. I love this on our front door, and I think it looks very festive. It's also a nice change up from a traditional wreath. Now, if you are wanting to use this past Christmas, it is so easy to do. You're going to untie that bow at the top, and then you're going to slide out those 2 red picks, and boom, easy winter. If you don't like the top is plain, you could add a green or black velvet ribbon for winter. You are ready to go. I love this so much, so versatile. There are so many gold gilded frames out there being sold right now, especially in the high-end stores, even through Target with their Studio McGee line, and a lot of that stuff is selling out, so here's how you can dupe it yourself. I went over to trusty Dollar Tree and checked out their frame section. Sometimes you can get lucky, and this day I definitely did. I love these wall art frames, and if you recognize them from my Halloween video, it's because they're the same. I decided to give them a coat of black spray paint as a base just because that gold was a little cheapy feeling to me versus being this high-end look that we're going for. So with the black base, I'm going to put my gloves on just like I did with those ornaments, and I'm going to rub the same color rub and buff as those ornaments on the outside. What I like with the finger application here with the gloves on is that it is going to leave some of the black to come through, but it's going to look really pretty and classic, a little vintage for Christmas. At the top, I made sure not to go into all the crevices. I just ran my finger over the top, and that gave it this beautiful look. Dollar Tree also has these options, which I love because it looks like it has a mat in there. It's actually plastic, and I like the 4x4 to change it up instead of a traditional 4x6. I put some of my free printables in here. These will be available over on my blog. You can head over to my free file library and make sure you are an email subscriber because that is where you will get the password. And if you are a new email subscriber, remember it changed for the month of November, so be sure to get the password so you can get in there. For the past couple of years, these bronze reindeers have been all the rage from Pottery Barn, but they are so expensive. So we're going to do a Dollar Tree dupe for these. In their plus section, they have these reindeer for $5. And if you look behind, they do have some options that are the dark color, but chances are you'll probably find something that's not the color that you want, like these white ones or those Dollar Tree ones. So the easiest way to get the look that you want is pick a color in a flat spray paint and transform it yourself. It's a quick, easy, and super inexpensive way to get that black matte finish that the Pottery Barn one has without a ton of time or money. What I also like about my version is that they actually look like reindeer. Those other ones are a little too modern and wonky for my taste. They are a huge bang for your buck because you can leave them up all through winter, and they are cheaper to begin with. This next one is a secret Hobby Lobby hack, and you're not going to find it in the Christmas section, but you are going to find it back near the kids' craft supplies and these craft bells. Look at these. $12.99 for 3 of these bells. I thought that was such a good deal, and I love the color off the bat.
And then what I thought I could do to DIY them to look like some of these higher end ones is add one of these double loop bows to the top. Especially if you want that red, or you could do black or green. That makes it so pretty. So let me show you how easy it is to make these bows. So to make your bow, you're going to need some ribbon. This is 1/2" ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and it's red velvet. But you could use whatever color print that you want that matches your home. So for this, I'm going to do probably like about 18 inches. I always eyeball when I do stuff like this, but you can measure it out if you want. I would say actually maybe closer to 2 feet. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with your palm up with the one end of the ribbon here, and you're going to pull as far out as you want your ends. So on this one, I have some longer like tails. So we're going to pull it down just a little bit, and then we're going to take our 2 hands and open them, kind of like the Star Trek sign, for lack of a better analogy. The other thing you can do is do like a peace sign if the 2 fingers are too much. So here we've got our edge. We're going to wrap around once, wrap around a half. We're going to go in between the fingers here. So push that through with your peace sign still open. Then we are going to tilt it so the velvet's still out. Come up and over. And then I'm going to go up back through this half loop here. So go loop. So you're coming over and around and then back up through this half loop. And then to tighten it, you're going to pull this one. So keep your fingers apart so you have your pretty bow. And we're going to pull, tighten, tighten. You can pull it off your fingers. We don't want to pull too hard because of the way that the bow is constructed, but you can kind of tilt it, adjust it, make sure your velvet pieces are out. So depending on what side you like, you could also flip it over like this if you want a little bit more of the coverage. You just need to twist your ribbon like so, so your velvet is out.
Then to attach them, I used just some double stick tape because the ribbon was not super heavy, and this allowed me to leave them on, but then I could also take them off as needed. All in, this was under $15 for the set, and this is a great dupe for the Walmart, my Texas house ones as well that I hauled a few videos back that you guys said you were having trouble finding. Now you can go do this and have the look for less in your home. When I saw this next one, it was one of those things that I see the price and I almost fell over. Look how expensive these cedar wreaths are just with a little bit of ribbon. So we're going to head out. We're going to find some wreaths that we like for our house. So this is at Joann's. They had a ton of options. Target had a ton of options. Hobby Lobby, Michael's, they all have their own version of these smaller wreaths. So grab what you like. Then I'm going to create another one of those double bows that we did in that last project with the bells. And then I'm also going to cut about 24 inches of this ribbon so that I can add a hanger. I'm going to take the two ends of that ribbon and glue them together so then that way it has a hanging mechanism. And what I'm also going to do is before I glue on the front bow, I am going to pull this around. So where I just glued them together is going to be behind my wreath. So it looks like one continuous piece of ribbon. Take a little bit more hot glue, glue on that bow that you just tied, and these things can be put seriously anywhere. One of the best places I love to put wreaths this size during Christmas are on my white cabinets in my kitchen. It's really quick and easy to do, and it adds such a pop of color. What I like to do is use some painter's tape right inside the cabinet door. It holds them all season long because they're not super heavy, and they're really easy to remove with no residue after the season. These Hobby Lobby wreaths were under $5 plus a little bit of ribbon. You could do your whole kitchen for way less than the set that they're selling.
I would be super remiss if I didn't mention that sometimes it's not cheaper or easier to DIY instead of buy. Sometimes it is cheaper and easier to just find a dupe that's already being sold in the store. So I actually hit the jackpot the last time I was in Hobby Lobby. So I wanted to share some of these with you guys. So in case you were at those stores and wanted some of these almost exact dupes that are really good quality, you can pick them up. First up are these charger / placemats. You can call them whatever you want. But Pottery Barn has these for so much more expensive. These are being sold right now 50% off of $10.99, so about $5.50. These are beautiful to put your plates on. Also, if you are a content creator or photographer, I would definitely recommend getting these because they are great for flat lay items. You can lay them on top, have a beautiful greenery background. So if you make signs or jewelry or anything like that, these are definitely something you're going to want to pick up. While we're on the topic of greenery, I've shared this before, but if you can get your hands on this Real Feel Garland from Hobby Lobby, regular price, it's $99.99, but Hobby Lobby stuff is 50% off right now. These are going like hotcakes, so when you're in your store, definitely check the Garland section. Now, if you can't find this, Walmart also has a great option, so does Joann's, so I will link some other great Real Feel greenery dupes down below if you're looking to do this on your mantle, but don't want to spend the crazy prices that you see on the high-end sites. I was so excited to find this. This is actually a cookie jar. So the lid comes off. It is 2 pieces and it is beautiful for your gingerbread setups. I know a lot of you guys do the same as I do. This is the Sleigh Bell Bistro line, $26.99 regular price, so like $27. So right around $13 compared to the Pottery Barn gingerbread line. And the other thing I'm on the hunt for is they have little appetizer plates. They have gingerbread houses and snowflakes. I've not been able to find them yet, but I've seen them online. I want the snowflakes so bad for my gingerbread dining room. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, but I wanted to let you know too, in case you want to keep your eyes peeled at your Hobby Lobby.
I got served a Facebook ad for these felt gingerbread snowflake ornaments and I fell in love. So I was like, I know I have to dupe these. So I've got 2 ways you can do it. The first, at Joann, they have so many great picks, but they have these ones in particular. This gingerbread house and these gingerbread cookies. I grabbed some of these to stick in my gingerbread trees, but I also grabbed some so that I could recreate these ornaments because they have a similar look. I'm going to take some brown felt that I had in my craft room and I'm going to cut those into little shapes, and then I'm going to use my tin snips to break apart these little picks just so I have the shape. Then I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree super glue that you can get for 2 in a pack for $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Be careful with this so you don't glue your fingers down, but I thought the hot glue was going to be too much for the foam because these are really light. I'm going to do some loops of jute twine, glue it on the back, add that little piece of felt to cover it up, and these are ready to go. I love that they're so light, especially because my gingerbread trees are smaller trees, so I don't like adding a lot of weight, and I also think they are just so incredibly cute. Now, what if you want to take the second route for this? This is how you're going to create these felt ones by hand. Now, I promise you, it might seem a little intimidating, but all you need is some brown felt. I got mine at Michael's, some white embroidery thread, a needle, and this template that is over in my free file library on my blog. Start by cutting out the shapes, and also if you have a Cricut machine and want to cut felt shapes that way, you can do that as well. But I wanted to show you guys that you don't need a Cricut machine or any other machine to do this. Once I have my shapes cut out, I am going to trace it with a pen onto my felt, and I decided whichever shapes I wanted to do. You can do as much or as little. You just want to make sure that you have 2 of the same shape per ornament. What I like to do when I'm cutting like doubles of things is use a little bit of painter's tape in between my 2 sheets of felt. Then that way you can easily cut right through it, but then you're not going to have your felt shift on you when you're trying to cut. Then we're going to thread our needle, and I got this little contraption at Hobby Lobby. It's a little bee, and it helps pull your thread through, which has been a lifesaver. So if you don't sew already, that's something that you can pick up for a couple bucks on Amazon. I will link options down below. Once your needle is through, I'm tying a double knot on the end, and we're going to do a chain stitch to create the look. And then we're also going to use 2 other stitches, but I will show you. For a chain stitch, you're going to come up from the bottom, pull it through, and then you're going to go down through the exact same hole. So you've got this little loop here where my thumb is. Then you're going to go up probably, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch. You can decide how big you want your chains to be. And then I'm going to pull that thread right up through the loop to create this chain. Then to start your next chain, you're going to go from the top where you are back down through the loop to create another loop. So it's basically what you did before. This time you're just doing it through a loop. And then you're going to come back up about another 1/4 of an inch up through that loop. Then once you get to the end, instead of creating another loop, you're just going to go down on the outside of your loop, and that's going to tack it down and finish it off. You can tie it on the back, and that piece is done. Then I continued to go from end to end for the other 2 sides, and then I created the little V shapes as well. It's all the same stitch, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I almost feel like that adds to the character of it. Really optional, but I added some French knots to the openings, just like the inspiration. So all you need to do that is pull your needle and thread through, put it parallel to the felt, and wrap your thread around 3 times. Then we're going to take our needle, kind of wiggle it back, and go down right next to where you came up. You have to take a little bit of oomph, but you're going to pull it through, and then as you carefully pull it through, it's going to create kind of what looks like a little flower, but it's going to create this little 3D dot for you, and it's going to make it look super cute. I love having this, and once you do it a couple times, you'll master it. Then we're going to go around the outside with both pieces together. So now we've got our stitched cookie and the back so that we can stuff it and make a 3D cookie. I'm going to use a blanket stitch, and what you're going to do is you're going to go up from the bottom, pull it through, and then you're going to take your needle before you pull it taut and put it through the other loop. That's going to create this little line around the outside. And if any of this is too fast, I still feel like I am still in my beginner stages of embroidery. I will link quick tutorials down below for all 3 stitches if you want to run through that somewhere else. Then I'm going to do about half of it with the blanket stitch, add a little bit of stuffing, and then continue on adding stuffing as I go. And then when I'm done, I'm just taking another piece of the thread. You can also use some ribbon, red and white twine, whatever you have, and tie it so that you've got a knot so you can hang it as an ornament. You can also have these as play cookies or display as well, so you wouldn't need a hanger if you did that. Now I promise you could definitely do this. I swear I'm a beginner. This took me a couple nights. It was a great project to do while I was watching TV, and the best part about it is I needed 2 sheets of felt, which was 50 cents each, so $1 there, and then the embroidery thread is under $1 as well, and I had the fluff. So 40 bucks versus a couple dollars, and now I can say I made these. I love these so much. Let me know down in the comments, do you embroider? Would you try these? Because I'm so happy with how they turned out. I've always wanted to make one of these embroidered pillows, and now that I've been doing more of these projects, I felt a little bit more empowered to create one and then be able to explain to you guys how I made it. So this is another one where it looks awesome, but I promise you it's not super hard. I started with a pillow cover that looks like a sweater, but it's actually like a polyester material because I thought it'd be easier to stitch, and I measured to figure out what size I wanted. I wanted it to be about 10.5 inches wide, and I got some of this dissolvable stabilizer. I printed on it, and there is a shiny side and a fabric feel side. You want to print on the fabric feel side, cut off any excess here. You want to not get too close, but cut off the excess like I'm showing. And then I am going to stick both of my words onto my pillow. So we're going to have it say Holly Jolly. Then we're going to use that chain stitch from before, and I feel like with it being a little bit bigger, it is a lot easier than those little gingerbread cookies. Even though those weren't hard, it's just a little less tedious. So I'm going to go up from the bottom with a knot at the end of my thread, back down through almost the same hole, and then I'm going to go up about the width of my thumb to keep it consistent, put the loop over and pull it through to create a chain. I'm going to continue that process all the way up my H here. And then when I get it back around where I need to stop, I'm going to use that tack down stitch that I used on the previous project. So I'm going to go up through the edge of the loop, but then I'm going to tack it right down where the loop of the H stops. Then all you have to do is start with a new loop and chain stitch right where the H continues. So anywhere where you have a harsh turn or it stops like that, you can tack it down and then go to the next spot and start. Then once I made it through everything, my last step was to dot my J. So we're going to use the French knot. So up through 3 times around, push it back down and pull it through. It took a little bit to get it through there because I was getting caught on thread, but once it did, it made the perfect size dot, and then I tied it off. Now this part is optional. I like to cut off a little bit of the stabilizer before I go to dissolve it, just because it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to dissolve a huge sheet, but if you're afraid you're going to cut your pillow or cut your stitching that you just did, no worries. Just go ahead and do this step, skip the cutting. I go through with some warm water, run it underneath there, use my fingers and make sure everything is dissolving. I'm going to wring it out, and then you can either let it air dry overnight, or I threw my pillow cover in the dryer because I wanted to get a stage shot for you guys. Pop in your pillow, and you can also do this on a fun Christmas sweater. This would also be a cute gift if you did somebody's last name. Obviously, I am not a pro yet, but I absolutely love that I made this, and it is something that I'm going to continue to do and continue to try to get better at, because that's honestly the fun part of crafting, is learning new things and getting better.
That's going to do it for this round of dupes. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to head down to the comments, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know what your favorite dupe was in this video, and if you plan on recreating any of these. I know the craft buddies love when I do the dupes, so I definitely had to make sure I squeaked one more out before the baby comes. Be sure to head down, leave me a comment, and also hit subscribe before you leave if you are new here. If you want to join the Whiskey Craft Buddies, if you're interested in those free printable files as well, be sure you are on the Whiskey Craft Buddy newsletter list. You can sign up either by scanning this QR code on your screen or by heading down to the link in the description to head over there and grab those printables. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!